Who here's got some trades? If you do, awesome. Thanks for being here. If you don't have trades, double thanks for being here. That's for sure. But in the hooking position, I personally have Watson out. It's been a tough stretch with Connor, obviously with the bye recently. I did play Brayley for a 28 that week and then didn't play him this week and got Watson's 10 and Brayley got 68 on my bench. So I just play him this week and hope that he actually scores pretty well. If you are trading in the hooking position, you could do this with Watson and move him obviously to second row forward. I think he'll be important the last couple of weeks there. And if you want to move on from someone you do have in that position, whether they're injured or something like that, then there are probably only a couple of options here, in my opinion. It's Damon Cook and it is Jacob Liddle. Both those guys scoring a 93 last week and did an awesome job. No one else in a hooking spot is worth it in any case. Cook is the more expensive one at 709, Liddle at 652. I do think that Liddle and the Dragons have a slightly easier kind of run. This would be the last easier game for Cook there up against the Knights this week. And Liddle's probably one of his harder ones. So if you were going this week, Cook probably the better play just. But we know Liddle can do it against... he can have good games against any type of opponent because you play a good team and he'll get good tackle numbers. And Cook's a bit up and down at the moment, but attacking stats seem to be in his game. Front row forwards, Joe Tarpany and Adam Fanua-Blake. They're still the top couple you want to look at. And then outside of that, it's a pretty hard little push for anyone outside of a Mitch Barnett right now. And he has lost a little bit of cash now, back to 750. And he got this 45 last week. So definitely a better time to get him if you're looking at head-to-head finals. Him and Adam Fanua-Blake are the two guys that you want to have a look at there. And you can see most of the top average players are unfortunately injured at this point. We're down to Jack DeBellin and Josh Curran, who, if you do own, are just clear holds. And then outside of that, there's really no one to buy at this stage of the season. You've got Jolliffe, who's come back and is playing okay, but it's not scoring well enough at this stage. So front row forward slot, if you don't have a Tarpany, Adam Fanua-Blake or Barnett, Curran, these types of guys, they're the only ones that are real clear holds. If you do have Terrell May, I'm not expecting big minutes at this point. And then guys like Oregon Kafusi and Toby Rudolph have come back into a bit of form as well. So yeah, they're kind of the only ones you want to look at this point. And we now move on to the second row forward position. So I'm very much hoping that Crichton can bounce back a little bit. I've got Carrigan there at 577. I picked him up the week before their bye, and he ended up with a try assist as well, which was nice there, and picked up that 82. So that was good for Feeder. Very cheap now, under 700k. So if you don't own him yet, jump on. You can take scores out of Curran. You can take scores out of Kaipis Paul there. And then I've got Mr. Ethan Roberts there, the dual in that front row forward 2RF slot there. But moving to top average guys, I own them currently in Fafita and Crichton. So they're the highest chance guys to do really well. We know that we can get decent scores out of guys like Colin Matungi on the edge against some slightly easier opponents like last week. Similar to that with Britton Nickra, has that upside, and Hudson Young. They're the three guys at the moment that are doing the best in their edge position like that. Olukwatu's had a bit of a tough run here in recent history, but he does come up against the Tigers this week. So in terms of that 1 week play, he's a clear option. Isaiah Yo's been great as well, and he's a 614k, doing awesome work and outperforming where he's currently priced at. Being down 90k for the season, that just was because of that little stretch through the origin period which slowed him down. So all of those guys I mentioned have different price points and have different, abilities to score this week compared to what they have probably over a 3-round period. Is Isaiah Yo going to get rested? Does that matter for you when you'd rather just take him at his 614 price? Do you want to jump on Eli Katoa after that double last week where he may be a chance to rest as well? He did have that rest for his knee last game, but the game before last. But is that something that's going to happen again when the whole team does? Do you want Cam Murray at under 600k? Do you think that he's going to score really well like he did last week and that full base there and play 80 minutes through the middle? And if he does, I think he's going to be a great scorer. But if he goes back to some lower minutes, then he could definitely drop as well into that sort of 60-ish, 65 range that he is close to averaging for the season there. McInnes, a great one last week, moves back to 13, probably drops some minutes. And then you've got guys like Beaufort Moore under 600k, Preston at 627, so all really solid ones and all at a very similar price point there. It's more just, I think, picking the one that you think that is going to play each 3 games and the guy that probably has a chance of scoring a try, at least one, in the next 3. Guys like Kaipis Paul up against The South this week are still very easy plays. He's going to be up against Kean Kolomatangi on that right-hand side, so that'll be fun. That'll be a fun watch there as well. So that's the 2 RF position. Bunch of guys there. No one really stands out apart from these top guys, but even Crichton in recent history has had some lower games, and same to that with Dave Fafita. So gut feel, I think, a little bit on that. Halfback, Cleary. Has to be sold. If you do have any trades, he's obviously the most expensive, and you have some guys here in the half position that could really do a great job. And the first one that jumps out at me is actually Daly Cherry Evans. They're up against the Tigers this week, and he has a great chance of scoring big this week. And even the last couple of weeks, they're against some tougher opponents, but we know that he can do well, averaging 68 for the year. If he can get anything above that 70, I think we can in the last 3 weeks, and he'll be worth it at that 654 price point. But obviously with Cleary at 894, it leaves plenty in the bank. And if you're only at one trade, it does feel a bit gross to leave 250, 300k in the bank. But it's going to be very similar with guys like Sam Walker, who are a really good option as well. At 734, he comes up against some slightly easy opponents to finish the year, Titans being one of them. And then a couple of other easy ones too without the Tigers in this one, in that 3-game stretch. But Walker coming off back-to-back tons into the 52. That's why his price is up. But a really solid guy to look at in this week as well. And then Matt Burton, he jumps out as well after hitting a 68 3-round average, continuing to get some type of attacking stat, but really low in sort of the base sometimes, which is causing him to only get around that 70 mark rather than hitting the big tons. So he's been super consistent around that mark. Ben Hunt, been a fun one as well, is averaging 59 unfortunately in his last 3, but did include an 80 there and comes up against some okay opponents without being too ridiculously hard. He could go for SJ, only picked up 37 on the weekend, but and only 37.7 is the last 3 for him, and misses last games. It's a bit of a tough one there. We do see Trindle return, which is good for him, but outside of that, just Jerome Luai. Really, if you think that he can come out and run the show and score back-to-back tons like he did when Cleary was out before, in around that origin period, then he could be your guy as well at 649. So there's a few guys there as options. I think a lot of people will be going on DCE. He's the highest averaging guy that's left over, apart from Hughes. But I think Hughes is definitely going to get a rest next week. And DCE is going to be that guy to partner him in my team, most likely there. For the 5/8 position, I personally have Campbell and Plath, but some options like we just spoke about are obviously with Burton. You have Galvin there, continues to score well, but misses next week, and Jerome Luai. So they're the 2 big ones, Jerome Luai and also Matt Burton, who we just spoken about. They could really cover in that 5/8 position well. Another good score from Jai Gray with a try. Back-to-back really nice ones for a 76.7 average. So good stuff for him, and they're the only 2 guys that I think are of note here, with Gray and the Bunnies having a slightly tougher task in the next few weeks. For the centre wing position, guys like Lomax are still the massive target here. If you have Holmes on the bye, I think you still hold on to him, even though those last couple of games do become a little bit harder. But how good's the up to 833 again, and up 100k for the year, averaging over 80 is absolutely spectacular. But you got guys like Dom Young and Karaz that I think have the best opportunity to go big this week. Lomax, I think it'll be a bit harder for him, but I still think he'll do well. So Dom Young and Karaz, the top 2 guys to look at. Manu at 556 is so cheap, and is someone that you could upgrade to really easily, obviously, from a lot of these guys. I think you're holding Greg, you're holding Casey McLean. I think they're good plays this week, with Greg up against a slightly easier opponent in the South, and then the Panthers up against the Raiders there, and Casey, in recent time anyway, doing really, really good things. To'o, I think, can do really well this week after 32. He's down at 724, but a big resting target in the next few weeks. And then you've got Herbie up against the Melbourne Storm. Those are a bit tough. Ruben Garrick, if you don't own and you can't get to, obviously, Turbo, and he'll be a good replacement. I think he can do well and score some good points against the Tigers there, which would be really cool. And that's in terms of the top guys. You're really only looking at that, given you've got like a Cleary as a trade out. You could move some players around into the 5/8 or into the halfback position and do some things there on that one. Then you're moving to the fullback position, and the guys this week is Turbo, it's Teddy. They have the 2 easiest matchups, along with Dylan Edwards, and then you're looking at Kalen Ponga as well. So Ponga's the cheapest right now at under 700k. If you want to jump to him, he's up against the South, obviously, but Turbo against the Tigers is the biggest one of the week. Teddy against the Titans will be great as well. And he picked up a nice 125 last week as well. So he continues to do good things. Edwards with an 84 last week. He'll get the goal kicking back. And we know how amazing he was this season when he had the goal kicking. So down to 838 now, a little bit of a drop from where he was, but averaging 90.7 for the season, just a tick ahead of Tedesco. And then Turbo there at 86.7 for the season has been an incredible touch as well. So they're the guys you want to target this week. Counter Kinney, another 88. He's averaging 71 now and 87.7 his last three, but he's up against a tougher Roosters opponent there. And I think that there's enough fullbacks there you can target there for sure. So that's the SuperCoach video, guys. Thanks for jumping in here on your Wednesday to get through your last few trades. And hopefully we can all make some ranks this week and stop going backwards, because it's been a tough few weeks for not making any ranks like I was for a good portion of the middle part of the season. So good luck this week, and we'll see you in the next one.